Welcome to the channel, friends. So today in the workshop I plan on rejetting my Honda HSS1332ATD. Now by rejetting this to a larger size, it will not only help with the surging and hunting of the motor at full throttle, it will smooth out that throttle response, as well as unleash the full potential from the GX390 motor. Now I'm going to work through my way through each jet size and show you kind of the results I get on my machine. Now today is 19 degrees and I'm at 500 feet above sea level. So those are the conditions, and if this is something that's going to interest you, stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so welcome back, guys. I want to go over what I'm going to be using for tools today to analyze each and every jet as I go along the way. So as you can see here, I have my Honda service manual. I have my 4 jets that I'm going to use and try out. I have a 105, 108, 110, and 112. Those are the part numbers. So I also have this tiny tack. This is a wireless tachometer, which comes in handy when measuring RPM for small engines, chainsaws, anything really. This will measure it. It measures up to 20,000 RPM. Great for chainsaws. So, the final operating speed, according to the service manual for the 1332, is 3,500 plus 0 minus 150 RPM. So, we want to stay in that range. I'm going to turn mine up all the way to 3,500, maybe a little bit more, just to get more impeller speed. But I will be going over more ways to kind of hot rod your Honda along the way. This kind of being the first part of the series. So I guess that's what I'll call it, hot rodding your Honda, because I have about 3-4 different ways that I'm going to improve the performance on my HSS1332. But today we're going to start with the rejetting, which is going to give you the most potential for enhancement when it comes to engine-wise. So as we change the jets, there's going to be a noticeable difference in RPM, so we're going to note that with the tachometer. So that comes in handy, as well as this apparatus right here. Now this is a portable AFR meter, so it's a portable wideband sensor. Now I had to make this adapter because you have to insert this probe. Okay, this is the wideband O2 sensor, not the same as the one that's in your car. Your car has a narrow band. This measures a wide band, so larger spectrum. But anyways, this probe here is an exhaust clamp. Okay, this clamps onto your exhaust pipe, and normally it does not have this tube, which you see here. This is a silicone high temperature tube that I've had to add on. When I was doing my initial testing, I was just putting this probe up to the Honda exhaust, and because it has a spark arrestor, I could not get it to go inside to get a proper reading. So I was getting readings that were all over the place, which did not make any sense. So what I did was I lengthened this with a tube that I can stick in the exhaust, which is not going to melt because this is silicone. And then I had to make this adapter out of tubing that I had laying around, just so I can butt it up against the exhaust and not do any damage. On this end, I have a piece of silicone coupler. So this is not going to melt. I'm going to press this up against the surface of the exhaust so it makes a sealing contact all the way around, and I will get all exhaust gases through the pipe and into the sensor. This works properly. I've already tried doing this on the machine, so I know it's going to work. But I could not get it to run and get a good reading, good stable reading, without doing all this kind of mounting and adapting to the sensor. You have to have the sensor buried deep inside the exhaust stream to get a good, reliable reading. So that works out good, and pretty much this plugs in to the meter. And this will give you an AFR reading right on the screen. So 20.9 means it's calibrated, and then from that point you'll see either greater than 14.7 is lean, or less than 14.7 is rich. So 14.7 is your perfect ratio. It's called stoichiometric. That is just kind of a fancy way of saying perfect ratio. you want to be for pump gas, which is what we use in our machines, 14.7, kind of, plus or minus a tiny bit, plus or minus like 2% or whatever. But it's going to run about 14.7 if it's a properly tuned engine. So it'll be very interesting to see, as I change the jets, what I get for an AFR on the machine, because I don't think anybody has done this. No one even thinks about checking the AFR when you check your jet size. Now, the amount of air coming into the engine is a fixed amount. Now, once you add more fuel, which we're doing here, we're adding more fuel, it's going to change that AFR. Now, it could change the AFR for the better or for the worse. We're going to find out, and I want to find out exactly which jet is the best for my machine and my application here at 500 feet above sea level. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up. I normally keep the machine inside the garage. The garage stays no less than 50 degrees on a really cold day like today, which is 19 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the machine ready, and we'll start the process of changing out the main jet. All right, so first start on the 105 jet. I have the choke all the way out. Throttle is on the fast position, and we're going to start the machine up. So let's talk about what we discovered with going from 102 to 105. So we saw a slight increase in RPM from like 3430, 3440-ish to a maximum of 3477. As you can see on the tiny tack, it holds the maximum RPM, so you can see what it is. Now, we did not see that much improvement on the AFR. As you can see here, it's very unstable when I have it with the choke all the way in. So choke off, there's a lot of unstable readings, on the AFR meter when I have it in that condition. Now, when I open up the choke about halfway, as you can see, it goes rich, and it stabilizes to a number that is in the rich end of the spectrum. Now, I'm getting a good reading, I know, with my adapter in the sensor. So what's happening is it's still running lean, and somehow there's a little too much air in that kind of air-fuel mixture. So now we need to progress over to the 108 size jet and see what kind of results we get from that. We should see a slight increase in the operating RPMs when we have the machine in the fast position, which is the maximum throttle. So as you go bigger, you will see an increase in that throttle speed. So we should consistently see that increase, and we should see the numbers for the AFR stabilize. Okay, so we're getting more fuel to the amount of air. Honda runs these things lean because of the compliance with the emission standards and all that jazz. So essentially they run it lean, and there's a lot more potential with supposedly a 110 jet. So we'll work our way up there and see what the results are. So let me go ahead now and fast forward and install the 108 jet, and I'll do this whole process all over again. All right, so now we have the 108 jet. Okay, so now we have the startup of the 108 jet. Since I already had the engine running, I'm not going to apply choke, so the choke is all the way in. So no choke. And startup. Alright, so we have the 108 jet in here now, and as you can see, we got a slight increase in RPM, so we went to 3492-ish, as you saw on the tiny tack, as well as the numbers on the AFR gauge started to stabilize more. It's still on the lean side, but once I opened up that choke, I opened up the choke less this time, and it stabilized with a better ratio, a better number. So what's happening is it's coming into the sweet spot that it needs to be. So hopefully with the 110 jet, it's going to be exactly where it needs to be. So the reason why you see me do it 3 times is because what I'm doing is the first time I have the choke in, I'm taking a reading, it's reading high. It's not jumping around as much as it was before with the smaller jets. We're getting somewhere, but it still is not where it's supposed to be. So it's still on the lean side. Then I open up the choke just a little bit to give it more fuel or rich in it, which shows that it is getting rich, which is good because I want to confirm that I'm going back and forth and I'm seeing that differential. So it confirms that it's going rich and the numbers stabilize, which is a good thing. You want the numbers to stabilize and to kind of stay exactly in kind of one spot. Then I go back with the choke in just to reconfirm that I have the same numbers as before when I first started. So we're seeing progress here. Let me go ahead now and install the 110 jet and see what kind of numbers we get there. All right, so here I have the 110 jet. It's time to install, hopefully, the perfect jet for this machine and get this thing running right. Okay guys, so here is the 110 jet. We're going to start it up. No choke. Throttle in the fast position. And here we go. Okay guys, so that's the 110 jet. As you can see, we got really good numbers this time. The RPM stayed about the same, came down just a tiny bit from the previous 108 jet, but we can fix that. We can up the RPMs for the throttle speed with the adjustment screw. So we can take care of that if we want to get some more RPMs out of it. But the good thing is that the AFR came right down to 14.7, 14.9-ish. Perfect. That's where we want to be for AFR. We want 14.7 is the absolute perfect you can be for pump gas. I use 93 on my machine. So, as you could see, I was dialing in using the choke. I was opening up the choke to see where it was at. And then I finished off with the choke closed, and I still was getting the high 14 numbers, 14.7, 14.9, up to 15.1, as you can see in the clip, from a machine warmed up with the 110 jet. Okay, so with that being said, I do have one more jet left. That is the 112. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the machine now, and I'm kind of interested to see what's gonna happen. Is it gonna get any better? Probably not, but we'll see. We'll put it in, and I'll run the machine and see what kind of results I get here. Alright, so the last and final jet, which is the 112. I'm going to put this in and see what happens. Alright guys, so here is the last and final jet. This is the 112 jet. This is going to be a startup, no choke, and here we go. Alright, so there you have it. The 112 jet seems like it's the jet that works the best. It's got the most stable AFR. Whenever I put that sensor up to the exhaust, I get a steady 14.7, a steady 14.9-ish. So that's even better than the 110, because the 110 would jump up a little bit into the 15 range, the low 15s. So, with that being said, I think the 112 for my machine is perfect. I'm at 500 feet of elevation over sea level, and today is really cold. It's like 19 degrees out. It could be less right now. But this is good because the 112 is delivering a little more fuel, which means it's going to start up a lot easier when it's cold without choke. That's a good thing. So I'm surprised by that. I thought I was going to get a little too much fuel with the 112, but it seems like it's absolutely perfect. Alright, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and clean things up here, and then I will close out the video with my conclusion. Alright, guys, so welcome back to the workshop here where it's nice and warm. And I'm really happy with the results so far with the machine. It runs smooth, as you can tell by the video clips. No more surging. So I'm getting a lot more snow here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday or something. So I will be hopefully capturing that on film and using the snowblower. That way I can go ahead and try out the 112 jet and see how it performs on the HSS. Now, I'm really happy with how my custom adapter came out for the exhaust. It really allowed me to use the LM-2 wideband sensor properly and get good readings. Now, the spark arrestor on the Honda exhaust was preventing me to insert this tube to get a proper reading. So basically, I extended the exhaust and then put the exhaust sensor clamp in there, and it worked out great, as you could see. So my next video is going to be this right here. I want to bring the throttle speed, so the final operating engine speed, to the Honda spec, which is 3500 plus 0 minus 150. I'm in the range right now, but I could go up another 50 RPM. So we're going to tune that in with the Tiny Tack. As you can see, it does a great job at giving you a maximum reading as well as a live reading. It's very accurate. It has a resolution of 10 RPM. Super accurate, super high refresh rate, so you get a good readout, and it's not just, you know, jumbling a bunch of numbers together. You can actually read it on the screen, as you could tell by the video clips. So I'm going to be continuing on this series of hot rodding your Honda, and the jet was number one. Number two adjustment is going to be my operating speed, so on the throttle, that way I can get maximum impeller speed. And then number three probably is going to be adjusting the reverse speed, because I get a lot of complaints from people saying the reverse speed, it goes too slow in reverse, it's not that fast, blah blah blah. So there is a fix for that. You can enhance that speed by making a very simple adjustments. So I will be bringing those videos forward coming up soon. One by one, I will chew on those videos and get them done and provide you some good content, and happy snowblowing. Well, guys, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please place them right down below. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.